Hi, Alexia here, just doing another eBay progress update. I haven't made a ton of progress as far as listing more items, but I sort of have. So, last update, I was talking about how I was speaking with someone about being a lister. So, what she would do is she would take the pictures from the person that I'm having take my pictures. She would take those pictures. We're using Google Drive right now, though I think we might be having to do like a flash drive swap. I don't know. We'll have to work out the kinks there. But basically, she's getting the photos from Google Drive. Then she takes those photos and just from the photos tries to do a listing. That was my idea because I had my mom try to be a lister last year before she got sick, and it was really challenging. She lives 4.5 hours away. So I thought, well, this will be something that she can do for a little bit of extra money. It helps me out. But she doesn't have the item in front of her. And she had a really hard time going from these are a bunch of pictures of an item to figuring out what to write about in the listing. And so I ended up having to constantly basically write the whole listing but in a Word document, and then she would just like upload it and put all the information that I typed into Word into the listing. It kind of felt like it wasn't working. Like for me, what I really needed was to just be able to take the pictures and send them to someone to have them list. So this time, that's what I was hoping this woman could do. And I met with her and I explained to her everything that I wanted, that I was thinking for like one listing, tried to explain the process. I set up some templates, like for some of the wording that I would use and like the title. And then what I had originally suggested was I suggested that, I gave her access to the Google Drive folder. And I said, here are the pictures that you're going to need to take. So I'm going to have item 1. So I grouped them together ahead of time because my photographer doesn't do that. She just uploads all the pictures. And I can tell, what's what, but somebody who hasn't seen the items before needs them to be in a better order. But I don't want to slow my photographer down. So what I do is I will log in to the photographer photos, and they're going to be in a folder called, photographed items. And then I'll take those items and I'll put them into, I'll group everything that's the same for all the pictures for one item and say, folder name item 1. And those will be going into another folder that is called items ready to be listed. And then once she takes those pictures and lists the item, she will move that folder, each individual item, into another folder that says listing proofs. And then once we have the listing proofs, that's where I go in, and that way I know the item has been listed. And if I check out the listing, everything checks out, then I'll just delete the pictures. And one of the things I told her to do during training, because this is what I do, is to, if you have an item, let's say a pair of, I don't know, Morel shoes, that, you would take the pair of shoes and then you would try to find that item on eBay, because that gives me a sense of, for me personally, that gives me a sense of keywords, and I'm doing my pricing research. But that can take a while if you don't know what the item is. And I can't assume that a helper knows anything about the items. So I realized that, and I would do sell similar and then go from there. But I realized that for her, because I had her do a couple of these on her own, so I showed her everything, and then the next day she spent some time trying to do these on her own, and I realized, it takes way too long for her to do it that way because she doesn't necessarily know what she has, like what the item is, because it's not in front of her. She didn't buy it. She's not, she's only signing up to basically do data entry. And so I shouldn't, at this point anyway, be trying to have her pull from some knowledge of what the item is. And then when she did get the item and she found one that was similar and she said sell similar, she wouldn't, it's hard because there's a bunch of ways to mess up, because when you do sell similar, everything comes over with it except for the description and the price, which I don't know why the price doesn't come. That's why I do sell similar. So anyway, if she doesn't change those item specifics or change the part of the title, the size or color or something that was in there originally, then it's really easy to mess up. So I learned from this that to have somebody, I'm a little bit ADD. So to have somebody be able to do this right, I think that I need to create listing templates for as many individual items as I can. So not even saying like women's shirts. I need to say, women's tops regular sizes, women's tops plus sizes, women's blouses, regular, and do it like pair it out like that, so that if the item, if she can tell it's a women's jacket or a women's blouse, then she can just say listing template and open it up and just follow the outline that I've given her for what I want in a title just by looking at the item. And any keyword she comes up with, she can do that. I've supplied all these pictures that I got off Pinterest that have like different clothing styles and things. Plus she does have some knowledge of fashion, unlike me. I'm not fashionable, I guess. But I don't know what a lot of the styles are, so I'm constantly having to try to look them up and learn them. But I'm hoping that once she gets going with it, she will learn them more because, you do things a million times and you're going to learn it. So I realized that it needs to be listing templates. Instead of her going to eBay and trying to find a sold item that's the same, just using the template, because then she can click template, open it up, and then create the listing, save it. And I'm not having her price because that's for me. And I think also, like, even if I did trust her pricing, I will lose a sense of what items are selling for and what items are valuable. Because when I go to do research on what an item's worth, I inadvertently learn something about other items. So I'll learn what comes up when I type in what I thought would come up for my item. I'll also learn like what colors or brands. If there's a variation of my item, the other one is more expensive or something like that. So that research is really valuable, and I want to maintain that knowledge because I learn by doing and by research. And that was one of my fears about having somebody else take the pictures and do the listings. Because when I'm taking the pictures and when I'm doing the listings, I learn a lot. Especially when I'm taking the pictures, I learn a lot about the details of an item. So I'll notice, embroidery, or I'll notice pockets, or I'll notice the tag type, or like the fabric type more. I mean, I look at that when I'm sourcing a lot of times. Sometimes I don't. I just grab the brand and maybe the style. And so if an item has a good, maybe it's made of linen or something like that, that's good for me to know. And I don't really notice that stuff until I'm taking pictures. I also, unfortunately, will find flaws when I'm taking pictures. And I have had my photographer find those. I swear the thrift store lighting is like, I just can't see. Like if you have those stains that are like just ever so slightly visible in the thrift store, when I look for stains, I just can't tell the difference. It's when I get them behind those bright lights that I notice, oh, there's a giant stain. Excuse me, and allergies. And so anyway, so that's what I'm doing so I want to keep pricing. So I'm making up new templates for her, and then I'm going to have to redo the training process a little bit there and just kind of say, okay, don't do what I said before. Do it this time. I mean, it's a learning process for both of us. I've never had anybody, I've never figured out how to get somebody to do my listing the way I need it to be done. I've heard of people using VAs to list, and I didn't really understand how they were getting the VA to list the item without assuming the VA knows anything about the item. Because it seems kind of like a time waster to me for me to sit there and type out all the details about the item, like in Excel or something, just to have somebody else go and plug the item into eBay. Like, why would I not just, the time I took to type it into Excel, type it into eBay? I mean, I guess like clicking all the drop down buttons and making sure the photos are turned and that kind of stuff. But I don't know, it's like 5 minutes. But I guess if you have 100 listings a day, it's a pretty good amount of time. So right now I am working on the templates for her. I'm going to meet with her again. She still kept working. So she did, like the next day, she did 2 listings, and they look pretty good. There were a couple of areas where I could see, you know, it's hard for me to know what wasn't conveyed properly or what needs work as far as my instruction to her when I get the listing back, you know. So I noticed that I needed to explain some things a little bit more, and like I said, change to the template thing instead of to finding sell similar. I need to make my instructions more clear because I provided in Google like a listing template, like, you know, do step 1, step 2, step 3, just to be able to help, so she would know this is what you need to do to list. And I need to modify that a little bit. But she did like 6 listings in the past couple of days, and it's taking her a while at first. You know, it's a time. You can't look, when you do something like this, you can't look at the, like, don't think it's not going to work out because it isn't going fast enough right now. In the beginning, they're going to be slow, just like I was really slow in the beginning. And so, but my thought is that once she picks up once she gets the hang of it, she'll go fast and it'll be fine. But it's a training period, just like any other company. When you do training, you're not really gaining anything at that moment with your employee because they're not useless, but they're slow, right? They're not your norm of productivity. And so, but you're investing in that now for the outcome later. So I'm hoping that that works out because, like I said, I think that model works out really well. I'm going today to meet a woman to talk about learning how to do eBay. So she's a friend of a friend. And I really like the idea of teaching people how to do eBay. I know so many people who love shopping or who need money for whatever reason, or they can't get a job, or, you know, maybe they're just tired of working their 9 to 5, or maybe they're a single mom, whatever. And I always want to be like, have you ever tried eBay? Because, and, you know, some people think, well, you're creating your own competition, but I don't think so. Like, one of the guys that I work with, you know, his interest in eBay is not going to be women's tops, probably. I mean, he's like a 65-year-old guy. He's probably going to go with whatever he's interested in. And teaching him how to do eBay, because he's getting ready to retire, but he needs a part-time job, potentially, to like keep up with bills, you know, kids in college and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, you know, I can show you how to, instead of going to Walmart and working or something, I can show you how to be in charge of your own time. So I really, really, really like that idea. I really just think it's helped me out so much, and I would love to be able to figure out how to help other people. Just even learning how to get started. So that's what I'm doing today. Is a friend of a friend. She is wanting to learn how to just list her own items on eBay. She has a bunch of stuff, but she doesn't know how to actually list it on eBay. So I'm going to meet with her, show her some of that, and then I'm going to go to a Goodwill that's out that way that is normally not anywhere near where I'm ever at. And so I'm going to take advantage of that and just go to that Goodwill and see what they have. That seems to be a pretty good Goodwill I've been to in the past, and they have some pretty good finds. So I'm not trying to source super heavily right now because I am trying to get through death piles and through things. Because right now my lister and photographer are only doing clothes, but I keep buying hard goods like shoes and random stuff. And so, I mean, I guess if I am sourcing right now, I'm trying to focus on only clothes because that stuff is going through the pipeline quickly because it's going straight to the photographer. And I'm trying to get her 50 items a week, and then try to get my lister to get up to speed as well. Though I think right now I'm going to have to be listing some of those items. I mean, I have to until my lister can get up to speed. So that's the update on eBay. I think it's going to go well. I mean, I'm hoping, I'm praying. I just got to figure out all these kinks and figure out how to get things optimized, you know. Make sure not only that my 2 people have good systems in place, but that I'm having a good system in place as far as sourcing, organizing the inventory, prepping the inventory, when it gets back to me, having it go into inventory in an actual system and not just sit in totes. And also the communication between the 2 people that are helping, just to be able to make sure that everything's running smoothly. Hope everybody had a great week on eBay, and I'll see you next time.